So there was shock the other day when it was announced that Canelo Alvarez will step up to 168 pounds on December 15th at Madison Square Garden and take on Rocky Fielding, of all people, for the WBA regular super middleweight world title. What's my take on this? Well, from the perspective of Rocky Fielding and Eddie Hearn, it's a no-brainer. Of course Rocky Fielding's going to take this fight. He's WBA regular champion. I mean, will he win any other version of a world title other than a WBA regular? Most people wouldn't put any money on it. So while he's got this WBA regular, he's got to make the most of it. Doesn't he? He has to. And what better way to make the most of it than to fight one of the top three, if not the number one, superstar in world boxing, Canelo Alvarez. It's a dream come true for Rocky Fielding. And for Eddie Hearn, he says he was shocked when Golden Boy called him for that fight. But shocked and happy at the same time, I'm sure. Because imagine that. Imagine Rocky Fielding in his wildest dreams, the kind of fights that he would have in his imagination. One of them would be a fight against a superstar, like a Canelo. Yeah, this is what these fighters dream about. And Eddie Hearn managing to deliver it for his client, albeit out the blue, a surprise even to Eddie Hearn that Golden Boy called him. But yeah, I can't fault Eddie Hearn or Rocky Fielding for taking this fight. Why wouldn't they take it? You know, why wouldn't they take it? As far as Alvarez stepping up to 168 for this fight, he's obviously picked on the weakest champion. Nobody's going to argue that. The other super middleweight champions are far more formidable than Rocky Fielding. It's also a regular belt rather than the real, legitimate WBA belt. Be that as it may, it's not the first time that a smaller fighter has stepped up and picked on a weaker champion. I mean, when Roy Jones Jr. stepped up to heavyweight, he didn't take on Lennox Lewis. He took on John Ruiz. When Sugar Ray Leonard stepped up several weight divisions, he took on a guy called Donnie Lalonde. Was that for the super middleweight or light heavyweight title? I can't remember if it was super middleweight or light heavyweight. I want to say it's super middleweight. But he won a super middleweight title or a light heavyweight title from Donnie Lalonde. Okay? He was not the man in the division at the time, Lalonde. It was a smaller guy cherry picking a weaker champion at a higher division. Of course it was. But when you're giving away that much size, you're going to have to do that. Realistically, you're going to have to do that. You're not going to be able to go up there and beat the best of the best. Once you go past a certain weight division, you're going to have to be very careful about who you're picking to fight. Now, in this instance, the size difference between a Rocky Fielding and a Canelo Alvarez is not as big. It's not anywhere near as big as the size difference between, let's say, a Roy Jones and a John Ruiz. But be that as it may, you do expect Rocky Fielding to be the bigger man here. So Canelo, in that sense, is still taking somewhat of a risk against a naturally bigger man, a guy who's been fighting in higher divisions than him, a guy who might have the strength on him, but ultimately a guy who is leagues and leagues and leagues below him in terms of class. And this is seen as really a safe way to be a free division champion. Let's be real. But nonetheless, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. So you do have to give Canelo at least some credit, I guess. You know, you have to give him some credit because any of the other fighters at middleweight could have jumped up and challenged Rocky Fielding. You know, any of the other top middleweights or one of the previous champions, they could have done it or stepped up and taken on a weaker opponent, a weaker champion at 168, but they didn't. So in that sense, just by default, I guess you got to give Canelo a little bit of credit for it. But realistically, this is a cherry pick by Canelo, and a fight that he is not only supposed to win, but supposed to win in pretty easy fashion. That's the reality of it. But Rocky Fielding gets his 3 minutes of fame and his chance to have a Buster Douglas moment, pull off an upset. We'll see what happens here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you shocked by this news? Do you have a different opinion on it than me? Because I think that it was a no-brainer for Rocky Fielding and Eddie Hearn to take this fight. Maybe you think it's terrible that Rocky Fielding took it. Maybe you think it's terrible that Eddie Hearn's allowing him to take it. Maybe you think he's putting Rocky Fielding's health in danger by putting him in there against Canelo. I personally don't think so. Canelo is an excellent fighter, but he's not the most devastating puncher at middleweight. So to step up to super middle, I can't imagine he's going to be any more devastating, you know? He's not really putting middleweights away like that. So I think Rocky Fielding should be able to hang in there. It depends how he fights at the end of the day. If Rocky Fielding boxes, I think he'll be able to go 12 rounds. If he decides to slug with Canelo, and that would definitely be the wrong tactic as far as I'm concerned. If he decides to slug, he could get busted up. He could get worn down and taken out. He could get hit with a body shot and folded in half. That could happen. But if he decides to box, use his jab, his height and reach, because he's going to have those on Canelo, height and reach. If he decides to box, I think he can go the distance and perhaps not even come close to getting stopped. Winning the fight is a completely different matter entirely, though. Anyway, let me know how you feel in the comments, people. What's happening about? Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.